The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
Yeah, Earnestly Speaking podcast. Let's get it. I'm a giant in New York, in Miami carry heat. So much more in store, my product can flood the street. Opinion Nation Godfather, CEO. Puff in the late 90s, gon' see me blow. Oh. Got my hustle on, no imitation of that. Army of untouchables, Opinion Nation staff. Never an off season, homie, check the numbers. Heartthrob in my own right, supplying southern comfort. Earnestly speaking, my ego is well fed. Earnestly speaking, you're too evil and no threat. See, I'm like a hurricane, you're a mild breeze. Earnestly speaking, leaving Eli a dynasty. Shake!
Earnestly Podcast coming to you Sunday morning, October 20th, 2024. I can't believe we're already almost done October already. This is crazy. This is so crazy. I'm here wearing my New York Mets t-shirt here as we first off, game 6 is tonight, NLCS, down 3-2. We got work to do, man. Yeah, like I said, this is the weekend edition of the podcast. Game 6 tonight. I'm nervous as shit. The good news for the Mets, though, they are going to be playing against the softest part of the Dodgers rotation the next 2 games, hypothetically. So if there's any opportunity for the Mets to find any way the Mets get back in the series, that's the one positive. This team's been resilient all year long, and hopefully they can at least extend to 7 games, one game at a time. One game at a time. We've seen miracles happen in baseball before. We saw a 3-0 deficit literally 20 years ago in ALCS with the Red Sox and the Yankees. And that was it's funny. A lot of that's been popping up on a lot of my social media feeds as last couple of days. You know, the David Ortiz home run in Game 4 that started to come back, and obviously it's not 3-0, it's 3-1. Now it's 3-2, but. Am I confident? Look, the bottom line is I had Dodgers in 6 before the series started. So it's my expectation is that it will go the way I thought it would go. And the Mets should have nothing to be ashamed of, obviously. Just them being 11 games under 500 and bouncing back, and not only going to, clinching the wild card on the last, not even the last day of the season, not literally the extended day, the last day of the season, but also, getting past the first round against Milwaukee on the road, and then getting past Philadelphia, who's one of the favorites to, win the whole thing this year. And then, pushing the Dodgers to 6 games from now with the Dodgers team, who is on paper the best baseball team right now on the planet, rather. So the Mets have a lot to be proud of, you know what I mean? But hopefully we get to see a Game 7, and then hopefully a Game 7 turns into a Mets victory. And we do get to see Subway Series because the New York Yankees yesterday officially won the ALCS in 5 games over the Cleveland Guardians. Juan Soto, I got to tell you, one of the most compelling things about this playoff run, and especially this series, is that Aaron Judge, who's going to be likely the AL MVP, the American MVP, has not had a really, judgy type of playoff run, and that's been the thing for him over the course of his career. Like, he's a phenomenal regular season player, but in the playoffs, he has not played well to expectations. But the reason why the Yankees are here in this spot, number one, I kind of say shout out to the bullpen. The bullpen was absolutely magnificent last night in game 5 in Cleveland. Coming up with some big strikeouts. Whenever the Indians were threatening to take the lead again after Stanton tied the game at 2 in the 5th inning or 6th inning, what it was. And then the shot around the world in the 10th inning, Juan Soto hitting the 3-1 shot that essentially clinched the game for the Yankees. And I'll tell you, Juan Soto, who will be a free agent this offseason, his price tag went through the roof after last night, basically saying that yesterday's price ain't today's price for Juan Soto. And we'll see who will be in line for him. There's rumors the Mets might be after him, depending on what they do with Pete Alonso, which, look, that'll be another topic, another podcast down the road. But Juan Soto's price tag went to the roof. And I got to say, Giancarlo Stanton, his turnaround, he's had 4 home runs in the series alone. He's finally making the money. He's finally earning his paycheck. He's been disappointment in New York Yankee uniform, mainly because he can't stay healthy. he just can't stay healthy. So, from that aspect, they have replaced the production that Aaron Judge is supposed to bring to the table. So shout out to John Carl Stanton. Although you guys know I'm not a Yankee fan, obviously. Although people always ask, why are you such a Yankee hater? And honestly, it's my brother. It's my little brother Maurice. He's him and I are both fans of the Giants, so we link up there, obviously. But then when it comes to basketball, him and I, he's a Knicks fan, I'm a Heat fan. When it comes to baseball, I'm a Met fan, he's a Yankee fan. And his arrogance back in the day, I guess during the Jeter years when the Yankees were winning all those World Series and whatnot, those five World Series in the late 90s or 2000s, it grew on me. And I think that plus everybody else, bandwagon in the Yankees, and I think there was some jealousy there too, because the Mets were always the step kid that they may have one good year here and go to World Series here, but they've never seen it get over the hump. So it was always that kind of that in city jealousy. Like it's the equivalent of being a Clippers fan, but the Lakers being in the West Coast, not as bad because the Mets have at least won a couple championships, at least have been competitive a couple years here or there. But it's the same thing. The Yankees is a monster. It's probably the most popular sports franchise still to this day in the history of sports to this day. When you combine all the amount of World Series they won 27 World Series as is, so they have that rich history. So the Mets have 2 World Series and they haven't won a World Series in 38 years. They went to the World Series 10 years ago because Kansas City lost. They went to the World Series in 2000 because the Yankees had lost. So they don't have the rich history. But so there's a lot of the jealousy and all this stuff. But the Yankees, they are a really great team, and they found a way. They're resilient themselves this year. They're resilient in the playoffs. Every time they got pushed back, they responded. They could have, at that game 3, meltdown, they could have easily, just gone into the hole and made an avalanche of losses. But they bounced back game 4 and they bounced back game 5. You got to give them credit for that. I call like you see it. So the Yankees have been, like I said, they a lot of folks want to see Yankees in. I think no matter what match we get in the World Series, whether it's Yankees, Dodgers, Yankees, Mets, it's compelling. You're going to hit the Yankees, Dodgers World Series, and the best part about that, if you do get that, is that you'll get both these teams finally high to powers, because the Dodgers roster is the best it's ever been. Obviously, the Yankees roster, I can argue that this is, with Soto and Stanton and Judge and all those guys they have, the best it's ever been. I mean, at least certainly since the late 90s, But then you also have the intrigue of what you have the Yankees Mets. Now you have the Subway Series and the energy in New York City, all that. And the Mets roster is just almost on par with both those rosters. And both rosters are really good. Lindor and Alonso and those guys. So we're going to get a great World Series no matter what, because the Yankees being in there number 1, and whoever the opponent's going to be, Mets or Dodgers, we're going to get a higher rated World Series. And I'm looking forward to it. And I'll tell you, I really, I don't talk a lot of baseball on this podcast normally, because let's face it, no one really cares as much about baseball anymore. I hate to say that, but that's just the case. I love baseball. It is my favorite sport to attend any game, any sport of hockey, baseball, basketball, and football. I love going to baseball games. And I mean, baseball is my first love. But this playoff run, and I know people say, well, because the Mets are there, of course you enjoy it. No, but honestly, this has been a phenomenal playoffs. They've done a good job. They've done a good job of having having the making progressive changes into the pitch clock and all this good stuff, and they're slowly growing again, I think. And I really enjoyed this season, honestly. And me being used to be a hardcore baseball guy back in the day, I feel some of that coming now, back again. So it's been a phenomenal year. But we'll see tonight, game 6 again, NLCS tonight. I'll be nervous as shit. This is kind of funny. Mets and Jets play at the same time tonight, so a lot of Met Jet fans link up. They're gonna be very nervous tonight. All right, so next topic here. So last episode we did, we did our NBA season preview, 2-parter. We did obviously the over-unders with each individual team, and then we also did our usual yearly top 25 rankings. Me, myself, Chris, Charismatic, and our own degenerate and self, Zach. We ranked our 25 players. I want to go back and look at our list again, because obviously even though you do a list, you still look back to we make some changes, of course, and you read publications and you listen to Zach and Chris have their list, and there's obviously differences with what we have there. So I'm gonna review my list here real quick. So I'm gonna give you from 25 to 20. I actually made a change in the middle of the show. So 25. So originally 25. Initially 25. I had Jimmy Butler for Miami Heat on my 25, and then I changed it to Bam Adebayo in the middle of the podcast. So I had Bam Adebayo 25, Paul George 24, De'Aaron Fox 23, Damian Lillard 22, Zion Williams 21. Okay. From 20 to 10, I had Tyrese Maxey, John Morant, Domantas Sabonis, Donovan Mitchell, Tyrese Halliburton, Devin Booker, Jaylen Brown, LeBron James, 12, Kevin Durant, 11, Jalen Brunson. And then my top 10, I had Steph Curry, Victor Wembanyama, number 9. Number 8, I had Jason Tatum. Number 7, Anthony Davis. Number 6, Anthony Edwards. Number 5, Joel Embiid. Number 4, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Number 3, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Number 2, Luka Doncic. And number 1, Nikola Jokic. So I look at this list. And granted, this is my list, and I locked it in on the podcast Wednesday/Thursday. And there's some things here I would probably change. Okay, going down the list, I have Anthony Edwards number 6. I would probably put him a little lower. Okay, looking back in hindsight, I probably put him a little lower. I'm okay with my top 4. My top 4, I think, is fine. Joel Embiid, number 5. My defense for him at number 5 was that, and you heard the podcast, we were talking about how the fact that his comments he made, earlier last week that he won't be playing back anymore, and as a result, I know Chris had him at number 13 as a result. But my defense was, well, Joel Embiid has not, he said the thing. He came out loud and said that. That doesn't mean he's going to do it. So, but in hindsight, I might drop a little lower. Jason Tatum number 8. Maybe a little higher now. I probably won't put him top 5 though. Victor Wembanyama number 9. I might move a little higher as well too. Look by hindsight. Going into the teens here. Jalen Brunson's fine where he's at. Kevin Durant 12 is fine where he's at. I would probably move up John Morant a little bit more now. Honestly, the one person that's not on this list I would put on this list now in hindsight is Paolo Banchero in Orlando. I would put him in my top 25. He's a top 25 player in my opinion now. The impact in Orlando. I probably would take up Paul George and put in Banchero if anything. Paul George is not the number 3 option in Philadelphia. I might move Tyrese Maxey in this list. I might move up Zion Williams in this list. But yeah, those are the changes I probably would make. Subtle changes like that. I'm not saying where I'll put them exactly. Devin Booker might move a little higher, but I penalized him heavily for being swept by Minnesota last year in the playoffs. So yeah, that's the things I probably would change, modify if I had a chance to do it again. Modify those things. But yeah, it locked it in, and it is what it is. So there's that. All right, next thing on the docket here. Last week, Donald Trump, Kamala Harris, little political talk here. Last week, massive media blitzes. Last week, mainly Kamala Harris, especially too, doing a bunch of podcasts. In the last 7 to 10 days, she did the Who Call Me Daddy podcast, which is a massively popular audio women's focused podcast. She did the Breakfast Club Town Hall with Charlamagne the God. She went on The View. She also what else she did this week? She did a lot of stuff this week. You can't complain now. Kamala Harris is not campaigning. She's not talking. She's the blitz happened this week. So you can find her podcast. There's rumors about her going on Joe Rogan possibly. Donald Trump, the same thing. He did a bunch of podcasts as well too. Also Busting the Boys podcast. Rumors about him going on Trump going on Rogan as well too. This is good. This is what we need. What I love for someone who's been. I'll never be arrogant to ever call myself the Godfather podcast because I'm not. Stop. Because I've been doing this medium for close to 15 years now. But well before it got really, really popular, like it is now. But what I will say, I love the fact that these politicians, mainly Trump and Kamala, and maybe you'll see that more in the future with other politicians down the road, are starting to embrace, doing legacy media things. Like obviously, you'll have your usual politicians go on, they'll go on the CNNs of the world, the MSNBCs, NBC, CBS, you name it, the traditional networks, and that's fine, and it's not a place, it's not a place, obviously. But to see, Kamala Harris go on the Call Me Daddy podcast, a podcast that's has its lane, but she's still willing to go there to get the female vote. You have Donald Trump leaning into the men's vote, doing all these very strong male podcasts that with high male audiences. And like I said, there's rumors now about both of them going to be on the Rogan podcast. We'll see how that goes. I know Joe Rogan has said in the past that he did not want to entertain the idea of having Donald Trump's podcast, but that was also 2 years ago. The fact of the matter is now, I never believed him, because I just think that Joe Rogan is such an important figure in our culture, whether or not you like him or not. His podcast is number one. That's the bottom line. He has the number one show, in that medium. So it would do. I mean, obviously Trump, it would definitely help. I think it will help Kamala more, because you assume that Rogan's audience is probably made up of mostly either Trump voters or lean Trump voters. So Donald Trump has really. I don't think Donald Trump loses anything by not going on Rogan's podcast, but I think it only solidifies his support in that base. But I think Kamala Harris can still peel off some people, if for anything, because of the fact that she's still being defined, and for many months now, people believe that Kamala Harris is trying to avoid doing media and certain media platforms, because they didn't want to challenge her, for that matter. But I hope she does it. I hope they both do it. I'll be honest with you. I think it's good. I think you need to earn votes. I'm pretty traditional when it comes to this kind of stuff. You need to earn votes, and if any platform has that opportunity to go and earn the votes and have you speak, you do it. So, and that's how I feel. So hopefully we'll see him on Rogan. I mean, the election is literally, wow. We are less than 13, 14 days from the election. What's today's 20th? So no, that's a lie. 15 days from the election. So this coming Tuesday will be 2 weeks away from the election. Early voting here in Florida starts tomorrow, actually. I haven't decided I'm going to early vote, though, to be honest with you. Because I've done both. I've through the years, I've done both early voting, and I've also done the day of the election voting. So this is a fact here. Every time I've done early voting, whether or not it's for the midterms or for the general election, I go early voting, and I'm still stuck in line for a long time. There's still a large line every time. I went in 2020 early vote, and my wife and I, we did it. We both were off that day, so we, went to the early vote, and we were in line for about an hour, which is fine. I didn't mind it, because I love being around the glitz and glamour, of politics, and love seeing people. Like, I remember we went to in 2020. We went to by our library next to our house. And we had one section had a bunch of Biden supporters here, and you had a bunch of Trump supporters on the other side. And I'll tell you, even with all that, it was very, very civil. People, you had both sides of the aisle, people talk to each other and conveying and being polite, in general, which I thought was very encouraging. Not sure if you'll see the same thing this year. We'll see. But every time I go early voting, I always have to wait at least an hour. Every time I've gone voting the day of an election, though, I'm out in 10, 15 minutes. Like, I went 2 years ago to do the midterms. And I was in and out of that place in less than 5-10 minutes. I'm with my kids too. My kids came with me, and we were in and out in like 5 minutes. I already had my stuff ready to go. I knew the amendments to vote on. I know what senators and whatever I wanted to vote on, the governor I wanted to vote for at the time. And that's what I did. So I don't know. I'm torn, because I don't want to wait till last minute and then something comes up where I can't go, because I'm someone that takes voting very seriously. I'm very, very I'm someone that, this is going to sound very snobbish here, but if you don't use your voice to vote, and not just presidential elections, though, but even your local elections, if you're not making your voice be heard, you have no business. You have no room to stand on bitching about why things aren't getting done. Okay, I know we have a lot of people who believe that it doesn't matter, a voice doesn't count, a voice doesn't count. I reject that. I'm sorry, I reject that. Especially on a local level too, when you vote for judges, you vote for amendments. We got a lot of big amendments here in Florida this year. We got Amendment 3 and 4, especially the biggest amendments right now. Hot amendments on recreational marijuana and also on sexual abortion ban. You know, we got a lot of big things here. So if you're not using your voice, I don't want to hear from you. Like you don't have, and this is one of the things I hate to get controversial here. This is one of the things I was so critical of Colin Kaepernick back in 2016. Like, yes, he got blackballed. We agree he got blackballed. But the problem is, Colin Kaepernick also was the same guy who never voted for on any level. General election, local politics, didn't matter. I'm sorry, my G, but if you're not going to vote, you need to shut the fuck up. You don't have a say. You know, I'm sure that's changed now since then, but you got to use your voice, man. If you're not using your voice, then what are we doing? Like, what are you doing? So, look, I vote. I don't care if you write in someone for the election. I don't care if you vote Joe Stein or Cornel West, whatever. Use your voice. Use your voice. Otherwise, what are we doing here? So, all right, last thing out here, and this is kind of related to the politics too, because I got into a conversation with a good friend of mine at work, and she wanted to see John Legend in concert. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because it deals with the conversation about entertainers and athletes and whatnot, people, basically famous people. Should they voice the political persuasions or affiliations or whatever during their shows, their press conferences, whatever it may be? So there was a John Legend, who's obviously a well-known Democrat, liberal, want to call that. He was in concert last Sunday, and my friend went to actually attend that concert. And she actually filmed a guy reacting to John Legend because John Legend, I guess, during the show had tried to convince folks during the concert to vote for Kamala Harris. Basically was pretty much stumping for her. You almost say that. It wasn't a Kamala Harris like stump speech or that, but he was in concert saying that you got to vote Kamala Harris, vote Democrat, blah, 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 blah. And my friend filmed this guy reacting, saying, basically saying that he was not qualified to be president. Here's I'm gonna show the quick video from her TikTok. Shout out to Wendy, of course. Here's the video of the gentleman reacting to hold on, maybe a little closer, you guys can see this. There you go. Here's the quick video, a couple seconds here, reacting to John Legend after John Legend is trying to tell folks to vote for Kamala.
She's not qualified to be president. John Legend. She's not qualified to be president.
All right, so that's the gentleman there. I don't know who it is, but my friend filmed it at the concert, so she did that. Thank you, Wendy, once again for the footage. Let me start here first. Is she qualified to be president? Yeah, she is. Whether you like her or not, that's a whole different conversation. What qualification versus actually agreeing with her policy to two different conversations. Is she if you're saying that Kamala Harris is not qualified to be president, then Donald Trump is definitely not qualified to be president. Was not qualified to be president in 2016 because he had zero political background whatsoever. Okay, Kamala Harris at least was a senator for a long time. Okay, she's gone through the ranks. She was a DA, the whole nine. So she's been in politics for a very long time. So you saying she's not qualified president is more so you saying it because you don't like her. That's different, though. That's a whole different conversation. You not liking Kamala Harris and her being qualified to different things. Hillary Clinton, I can't stand Hillary Clinton. A lot of people can't like her. She was not only qualified to be president, she was overqualified. She's done virtually every role imaginable. Secretary of State, Senator, First Lady, you name it. So stop. So if you're gonna say she's not qualified to be president, at least get the part right. Know what it means. Okay. Now, on the topic of athletes and entertainers talking about politics and whatnot, I don't get offended by that kind of stuff. I don't, and I know I'm the minority. And you have that on both sides now. There's a band called Stained. For example, some of you guys may have heard of them before, Stained. Aaron Lewis is the lead singer, and he's a massive Trump supporter. So much to the point that through the years, he has done concerts, whether or not with I don't necessarily with the band or solo shows, but he'll have like fuck Joe Biden chants and stuff, or he'll chant fuck Joe Biden. He'll tell about his persuasion, how much he can't stand the Democrats or the Democrat president in office. He's very vocal about that, and folks get offended by that. Some like, some don't, and that's fine. I will say my opinion is that I think it's kind of malpractice for artists and athletes to. I'm not against it for the record, saying anything if you want to. I'm a free speech. I am a First Amendment guy. I'm a free speech absolutist. Entertainers and athletes are people too. They may have more money than you do, but they're still people. They still got a voice, and they still one vote. They still vote, and there's one vote. So if they want to put their things out there, that's fine. That's on them. Us as a consumer, though, however, we can decide we're not to support it or not. And I get the argument, but like, I go to a concert, I want to hear that stuff. And that gentleman, for the record, he has a right to feel what he feels. That I don't need to hear that. I don't need to hear your politics. I come to see John Legend in concerts. I want to enjoy your music. Now, I would ask that gentleman, though, if I was there, that, hey, what if John Legend endorsed Donald Trump? Would you have the same energy? That's the only thing I push back on, is the hypocrisy. That's the only thing I push back on. Don't be a hypocrite. Okay, you're mad because they're supporting a person that you're not supporting. That's it. Okay. Now, do I think it's wise for athletes and entertainers to put their politics out there? Not really. If your goal is to make as much money as possible, it's very polarizing. I respect it because it takes a lot of balls. Like the fact that Taylor Swift can actually go out and endorse Kamala Harris, knowing how big she is, and also knowing that a chunk of her base is definitely, she may have more liberal fans than conservative fans, but you got to figure out at least 20% of her fans are actually still moderate to right-leaning people. I'll give her an example. She's in concert this weekend. She's doing 3 shows in South Florida, in Miami to be exact. I have a few friends who are massive fans of Taylor Swift who are attending that concert, okay, that are also massive Trump supporters. It happens. It's there. It takes a lot of balls for someone to do that. Now, because there are some people who are, well, I don't like him to cancel you. And that's out there on both sides. So it takes a lot of balls to do that, honestly. I support the right to the free speech, but I don't know if it's also the wisest thing to do also too, whether you're an athlete or whether or not you're an entertainer. That's why Michael Jordan gets a lot of criticism from a lot of people who do, the people who want folks to have the politics out there. Like LeBron James is unabashed about who he supports and what he supports. Okay, he's a Democrat. He's endorsed all Democratic candidates that I've seen in my lifetime, his lifetime. Folks like it, some folks hate it. It's their right, and it's also his right to say what they want to say. Just remember, all I tell folks is this: don't be a hypocrite about it, because the same folks who don't like LeBron James talking about the politics are the same ones who are well okay with Kid Rock and Scott Baio and other folks, other celebrities saying theirs. So are you mad that they're talking politics, or are you mad that they don't align with the politics that you agree with? That's the big question. So, but like I said, if you're an entertainer, athlete, is it the wisest thing to do in the world? Not necessarily. Am I okay with it? Yeah, I am. Because I'm not a hypocrite. I am a First Amendment absolutist. And if let the market dictate that. If you have a problem with it, you don't have to support her. Like if you're a Taylor Swift fan, and you don't like Kamala Harris, and you're offended by that, you don't have to support her. Don't go to her concert, or don't support her. Don't buy her paraphernalia, or merch, or buy her music. It's your right. This is why capitalism is great. So, anyway, that's it for me on the Weekend Edition of the podcast. We will see you guys Tuesday, as always. We do our Tuesday and Thursday shows. I am on Twitter at EJ Christian 7. Earnestly podcast across all podcast catchers. Of course, guys, click on the YouTube page at youtube.com/Earnest Christian, and we will talk to you soon. All right, enjoy the rest of the weekend, enjoy football, and we'll get back to you on Tuesday. Later.
The Earnestly Speaking podcast is
Thank you. Thank you.